Why, hello there, all of our friends in Today All Day Land. Thank you so much for tuning in to a little show we call Today in 30.
Ah, yes, you're watching our digital show where we give you the best of today in a mere minute. So let's break it down for you. Craig, what's coming up first?
All right, once again, the weather, our top story. We'll have a live report from Florida as Tropical Storm Elsa batters that state. We're going to let you know what you can expect as that powerful storm moves up the East Coast.
Then U.S. track and field star Sha'Carri Richardson's hopes of running in the Olympics officially dashed, why officials say she's being kept off the entire roster.
And then how one remarkable teacher is using dirt bikes to change the lives of her students.
All that, and we'll help get you organized with some new products for every room in your house.
Sounds like a packed show for 30 minutes.
Sounds good.
Let's get to it.
It's time for
Today in 30.
We begin with the breaking news out of Florida, where Tropical Storm Elsa is making landfall this morning. The storm downgraded from a hurricane overnight, but still dangerous, packing high winds and heavy rain.
A state of emergency is in effect for more than 30 counties now. We've already seen the storm battering Key West, where massive waves kicked up by the storm and 70-mile-per-hour gusts crashed into seawalls.
While Florida is dealing with Elsa, the Northeast was hit by severe weather as well overnight. Powerful thunderstorms bringing intense winds and causing power outages across the region.
Well, we've got it all covered this morning. We start with NBC's Katie Beck. She is in St. Pete Beach. That's near Tampa. Katie, good morning.
Good morning, Craig. Tropical Storm Elsa is now about 80 miles offshore from us, producing 65-mile-an-hour wind gusts and packing some pretty strong surge here at the coastline. Now, this is by no means the height of this storm. This is going to continue until it makes landfall later today, which means millions remain in a dangerous path, now bracing for impact.
Overnight, Tropical Storm Elsa barreling towards Florida's west coast, nearing hurricane strength as it inches closer to landfall in the U.S. The storm packing dangerous winds up to 75 miles per hour.
You never know with the wind. I mean, that wind can get going and gusts can rip things down.
Bringing intense waves and heavy rain.
There's a lot of stuff that could go flying.
Residents warned of potential life-threatening storm surges, flooding, and even isolated tornadoes. And just south of Key West, a rescue mission. The Coast Guard pulling 15 people out of dangerous waters, releasing these dramatic images, while 9 are still believed to be missing. It remains unclear why these boaters were at sea or where they were headed. Governor Ron DeSantis issuing a state of emergency in nearly half of the state's 67 counties.
You do have hazardous conditions out there.
After making its way through Cuba, Elsa took its first swipe at the Sunshine State in the Keys.
This is the most waves, the roughest I've seen the ocean, maybe ever.
Lashing the area with more than 4 inches of rain. Now, residents along Florida's Gulf Coast are bracing for impact.
We learned our lesson from Ida here last year. Can't take it lightly. I'm set up for about a 5-foot surge.
Airports shut down, businesses taking precautions.
We actually got teams to start pulling in furniture from the balconies.
Hotels in downtown Tampa strapping down deck chairs with sandbags.
Do you feel like you guys are ready? Yeah.
Well, really, it's more about reassuring our guests and taking all the necessary precautions.
Now, there is still a small chance that Elsa could re-strengthen to hurricane status before making landfall. But either way, this should really be a wake-up call to everyone living in coastal areas to have a plan and to be prepared, because hurricane season is upon us and anything can happen. Craig?
Katie Beck there in St. Pete, where the waves are roaring. Katie, thank you.
Let's head now to the south, to Key West, for more on the damage that's been left behind by Elsa. NBC's Sam Brock is there for us. Sam, good morning.
Chanel, good morning. Look, here in the Florida Keys, folks are drawing out after feeling the effects of Elsa less than 24 hours ago. Chanel, we received more than 4 inches of rain by noon here yesterday. For perspective, that is about what Key West averages for the month of July. The Key West airport registered 3.67 inches of rain. That is an all-time total for the area in a 24-hour span. Wind gusts, as Craig was mentioning earlier, reached 70 miles an hour or higher. That right there really effectively shut down a very very popular spot for tourists here. The streets were empty for a period of time. Conditions, as you can see behind me right now, have cleared up significantly, but we're still dealing with some of the residual impacts from yesterday, specifically at Key West Airport, where they had several flights already canceled this morning. Some more were delayed as folks right now just trying to get home. As for those strong winds we saw, those have now migrated north with winds being able to extend 90 miles from the center of this storm. And that, guys, as we're keeping a close eye on power outages, 12,000 so far registered in the state of Florida. That is a figure that is expected to rise significantly throughout the course of the day. Chanel and Craig, back to you.
All right, Sam, thank you.
Hey, today in 30, I'm Tom Yamas. Just arrived in Tokyo, one of the first correspondents for NBC News here. Want to give you a quick tour before our Today Show live shot. This is Tokyo Bay, and you can see the beautiful Olympic rings lit up. They're about to go off because Rainbow Bridge, you can see this is one of the other iconic spots here in Tokyo. It's already turned off. The reason why, they don't want people out late at night here in Tokyo. There are still very severe COVID restrictions in place. They want to make sure the athletes and everyone else around Tokyo is as safe as possible during the game. So those COVID restrictions still in place. We'll have much more on Sha'Carri Richardson, the big news about her, and much more from Tokyo over the next 3 weeks. I'm Tom Yamas for Today in 30. Back to you guys.
The countdown to the Olympics is on. The latest on the fate of star U.S. sprinter Sha'Carri Richardson this morning.
Already set to miss the 100-meter race because of a failed marijuana test, Richardson was not selected for the relay team, meaning she'll miss the entire Olympics. NBC's Tom Yamas is in Tokyo, where the opening ceremony is just 16 days away. Tom, good morning.
Hey guys, good morning to you. That's right, it is hard to believe. The fastest woman in America, Sha'Carri Richardson, will not be competing in any events here at the Tokyo Olympics. As you mentioned, she was not selected to be part of the women's relay team. And this morning, USA Track and Field is explaining their decisions, while Richardson is also speaking out. This morning, Team USA's track and field team is set for Tokyo, but one of its biggest stars, Sha'Carri Richardson, is not on the roster. The high-profile sprinter had a chance to be named to a relay team, but American track officials deciding not to include her. Initially, Richardson earned her spot with this decisive first-place finish in the women's 100-meter at the U.S. Olympic trials, going straight from the finish line right into the stands, hugging her family.
My family has kept me grounded. This year has been crazy for me, going from just last week, losing my biological mother, and I'm still here.
But following that emotional moment, the stunning headline, Richardson suspended from the team. The 21-year-old tested positive for marijuana, a banned substance.
I know what I did. I know what I'm supposed to do. I'm allowed not to do, and I still made that decision, but not making an excuse.
Richardson telling Savannah in an exclusive interview she used marijuana after learning her biological mother had died.
I would like to say to my fans and my family and my sponsorship, the haters too, I apologize.
There was hope she could be selected to run on the women's 4x100 relay team, her 1-month suspension expiring before that event. But on Tuesday, USA Track and Field naming the 6 runners who finished behind Richardson to the team. In a statement, track officials saying while they are sympathetic and applaud Richardson's accountability, our credibility as the national governing body would be lost if rules were only enforced under certain circumstances. But acknowledging the rules surrounding marijuana use should be reevaluated. Overnight, Richardson tweeting she's grateful that fans are paying attention to her sport. The star sprinter is vowing to come back stronger.
Now to an important health alert, how the COVID vaccine is possibly leading to swollen lymph nodes and causing some women to get false positives on mammograms. And I know, Jill, you experienced this yourself. So we brought 2 doctors in to kind of help sort through this confusion. So here with what we need to know this morning, we have NBC News medical contributor, our correspondent, Dr. Natalie Azar, and Dr. Christy Funk, a breast cancer surgeon and the medical director of Pink Lotus. Ladies, good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
So Jill has this personal experience. I'm going to let Jill talk about it for just a moment, and then we'll dig in here.
Yeah, so I have a history. Many of us do. You know, my grandmother died, my mother's mother, of breast cancer, and my mother had a double mastectomy. Luckily, healthy, all okay. I went for my yearly mammogram, and I'm always on edge, you know, like so many people. But I go, here's my beautiful grandma, Shirley, and I went for my yearly mammogram, and she said, there's something here that we didn't see before, and they're looking at the x-rays, and you know, you get nervous. And she said, what side did you get your vaccine on? And so you think for a second, and I said, oh, this side. And she said, well, we've been finding lymph nodes that are benign, so don't worry, in the side for women and men where you get the vaccine. So they had to biopsy it. I'm 45 because of my past history. It came back benign. I then told my mother afterwards. She said to me, I didn't tell you either because I didn't want to scare you. That happened to me too.
Jeez.
Wow.
So I just wanted all women to know, you know, what it's really about, so that you at least have some comfort if you do feel something.
Dr. Natalie, first of all, what was that lump, and why is this becoming apparently more common?
Well, so you may recall when we started inoculating everybody last winter, we were talking about the vaccines causing local reactions, side effects, if you will, the sore arm, a low-grade fever, muscle aches. We actually didn't really talk about the fact that you could get some swelling or reaction in your lymph nodes, not because it's unusual. In fact, it happens with a whole host of other vaccines. What made it unusual is that we had 150 million people getting vaccinated in such a short time. And of course, with our media lens on that, you know, it was really something that was brought to light. Chanel, I think you were the only person at the anchor desk today who was there last week when we talked about why this is happening. And just, again, remember this. This is just your immune system, you know, being triggered by the vaccine in the form of these B cells, which are sitting in the lymph nodes under the arm, again, on the side that you got the vaccine, that are basically waiting to churn out antibodies to coronavirus after a vaccination if you ever are in the future exposed to the virus.
Yeah. I mean, full disclosure, I was literally sitting here, and during commercial break, I was talking to Alan Dillon about it because I was a little nervous. I'm like, you know, I'm getting a call back or whatever. And I think it was a radiologist. She was like, wait, you had your COVID vaccine on that side? And I was like, whew. She's like, come back in 6 months. It's fine. We're seeing this in women. You know, we didn't expect this, but it's happening. Can we bring in Dr. Funk?
Dr. Funk, I mean, these lumps have been leading to a lot of false positives on mammograms. Well, is there a way to avoid that?
There are a couple of ways. One way is not to not get your mammogram. I want you getting it. Yeah. So if you're at routine population risk to get breast cancer and it's time for your mammo, time it to before you ever get a vaccination or 4 to 6 weeks after your final dose. This little delay of 4 to 6 weeks will definitely not impact cancer incidence or survival rates, so don't worry. Now, if you are at high risk for breast cancer, or due for diagnostic imaging, meaning we're following up on something previously seen, or perhaps you have a new symptom like a breast lump. I don't care when you got your vaccination, go get that imaging.
But that's an important nuance, that 4 to 6 weeks. We both got our mammograms within. Nobody told me that.
Mine was like 5 days.
After. So that's a really important nuance, that after you get your vaccine, wait 6 weeks before you get your mammogram if there's no other issue.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you'll be no worse for the wait. And you won't have that false positive alarm that really sends you spiraling down the worst case scenario.
And Dr. Funk, you know, say you do find a lump on your vaccine side during a mammogram. What are the next steps? And what follow-up questions should you be asking your doctor?
Okay, great questions. So what's happening with these mammograms is we see a big white splotch in the armpit on mammo on one side and not the other. And that's what all the hullabaloo is about. That's what's creating all the false alarms. What's next? A targeted ultrasound of that lymph node area. It's fast, it's painless, there's no radiation, and it's super informative. So a normal node is easy to spot. It's almond-shaped, big white center, thin, dark periphery. A reactive node responding to the presence of that vaccine is basically a normal node, but really pumped up. So it's very enlarged and dramatic, so much so that it's a little hard for us to casually dismiss it as totally normal. But it is. It's normal and reactive. That's the mammogram. Circled in yellow is the lymph node in the armpit.
That's helpful. It's scary. Hey, Dr. Natalie, really quickly.
How big it is.
Really quickly here, as we put the follow-up questions for your doctor on the screen there for folks to take a look at for a few moments. Dr. Nat, this is something, to Jill's point, that can also happen to guys, right?
It can happen to men, absolutely. And, you can even have, this reaction in the lymph node and not even be aware of it. They can enlarge and then recede. So if you're a man and this happens, absolutely, you also should reach out to your doctor, right? We know that men can certainly get breast cancer, but they should follow the same guidelines that Dr. Funk mentioned in terms of, timing of the vaccine and all of that.
All right, Dr. Azar, Dr. Funk, I hope we did a lot of good this morning. And Jill, thank you for, you could have suffered, dealt with that quietly. But
thank you for sharing, too. We just want to help and say, there's maybe less reason to worry. So,
Yeah.
But again, for folks who are watching, I'm really glad that you guys are checking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Checking.
I didn't want to put it off another year.
Hey everybody watching Today in 30, Morgan Radford here, and I cannot wait for you to see the piece I have coming up. I went down to Baltimore and I met with Brittany Young. She is a scientist and a teacher who is teaching young kids in Baltimore about STEM science through dirt biking. This is one of the coolest, most positive and visual stories you will see today, and I cannot wait for you to see it.
I'm born, raised, and everything in Baltimore. Our sound of summer is dirt bikes.
For teacher and engineer Brittany Young, this is music to her ears. Because these kids are also here for an education.
Glad to see a bike. Yeah, what you learn?
This is B360, short for Be the Revolution. Brittany founded it in 2017 to teach kids here in Baltimore about STEM science through dirt biking.
So, I guess I have to ask the obvious question. What do dirt bikes and STEM have in common?
Yeah, that's a favorite question. I mean, when you think about it, it's everything. The science, like the science behind popping the best wheelie, that's a physics equation. When you think about math with fixing dirt bikes and the best gas to oil ratio, and then engineering, mechanics fix a product every day. So do dirt bike riders.
Dirt bike culture runs deep within the African American community.
So as a kid, I was in the park watching riders. I tried, but I don't like to fall.
As a kid, Brittany also loved science and never forgot something a teacher once told her.
I remember being in second grade and my teacher told me I couldn't go into STEM because I'm black, I'm a woman, and my parents didn't go to college.
A teacher told you this?
Yeah, I didn't have my first black teacher until I was in third grade.
Determined to show kids like her that they can succeed in STEM, Brittany combined it with bikes, hosting classroom workshops.
This is your motor, the legs.
And community events.
And if you don't know how to reach your students by identifying with their culture, you can also lose them.
One challenge, dirt bikes, seen by some as a danger, are illegal on city streets. So this summer, Baltimore's B&O Railroad Museum loaned B360 a vacant lot where kids like 7-year-old Kamari Mullen can ride.
How old were you when you started?
4.
You're a veteran. You've been doing this for a while, huh? 3 whole years, almost half your life. That's incredible. And gentlemen, how are you feeling back there? What makes this program special?
I think it's a good idea to keep young black men off the streets.
And it's not just kids. Brittany's instructors are also riders building their own sense of community.
How rare is this? I mean, have you ever seen a program like this?
No, never. This is my first time seeing this.
It's tough to get young fellas to get up, in the morning to go to school, but early in the morning they up, ready to come out here and have a good time on a bike.
What do you think people misunderstand about this biking culture?
I feel like they misunderstand the reason we ride, and it's more so for peace and freedom. Guns down, bikes up,
What do you mean by that? Guns down, bikes up.
Put down your guns. Everybody come out, collab, get together, and ride.
So, what are teachers and parents telling you about this program?
They love it. We can't get rid of their kids.
Sounds like you don't want to either.
Oh. No, I don't. I like that they stay forever and they become lifelong learners. But the way that I speak about our kids is not from, we're helping them or we're saving them. It is we're empowering them to be their own advocates and to grow their own skills.
But to get the full B360 experience, there was really only one thing left to do.
Yes! Okay, give me some speed. Wow.
So fun. So I had to tell
tell you guys, one of my absolute favorite things about this program is that Brittany also has a partnership with the state attorney's office where nonviolent offenders can have their cases dismissed if they come and work with B360. So it's all part of her larger goal to really put everyone, young and old, on the right path and really building a community.
So good. I love that they're learning the mechanics behind it, right? So they're not just riding around, they're learning how it works.
And associating it with science, right? And the speed, velocity, all those things.
That scream that we heard at the end, was that a scream of joy?
It was a scream of terror. They had to edit out a few of those screams, you know? Yeah, you know?
It's a great story. Thank you for that. Thank you. Way to go, Brittany, too.
Yeah.
Now to our series, Organize My Life, and since most of us begin and end our days in the bathroom, having a tidy space is essential.
So we turn to the expert. Ashley Jones-Hatcher is a professional organizer from The Neat Method, who's got some new ways to help contain the bathroom clutter.
Check it out.
I've got a lot of really cool things to show you, maybe some that you haven't even seen, and I'm gonna just jump in right away and take you underneath the sink, which can oftentimes be scary, but if you look over here, this one doesn't look so scary, right? So we've got a lot of things happening. The first is we've got these sliding drawer organizers. They're from Amazon. They really help you to utilize that space that can sometimes get left unused between the side of the cabinet and that pipe over there. We've also got this hot tool organizer. So this is a baby bathroom, but mom comes in here and steals some space away to do her hair. And so this is a way to keep her hot tools all organized and nice and neat. It's by Yamazaki, but it's from the Container Store. I mean, it's nice and, my favorite word, sexy. And then on the bottom, we've also got these Manhattan modular storage bins. They are from the Container Store, but what I love is you can stack them. You've got taller options that really help to maximize height and fill up your under sink space. So lots of really great things happening. Now let's go over here. This is one of my favorite sort of pro organizer hacks for how to take your bathroom and really make it look like luxury on a budget. So what we've got is these matching acrylic canisters. They're from the Container Store. They're $7.99 each, but they look like they are $1 million when you put them in here. And then over in this corner, so every inch matters, especially in a smaller space. This from Amazon is so cool. It allows us to store, we've got a couple of rolls of tissue in there tucked off to the side. You've got containers that lift up here. And again, it's really all about maximizing all of the space in your bathroom. All right, so over here, we're in a small space in a bathroom that doesn't have a medicine cabinet. Something like this toothbrush holder can really be the best answer to that. It's got a lot of really cool features like this drop-down compartment where we've got ointments in there. We've got a side compartment for your brushes, a top shelf, and there's even space to store your toothbrush on the side. So really, really cool. And then when we talk about another way to make your bathroom look nice and elevated and luxurious but on a budget, these matching dispensers from the Polished Jar help do just that. And because we're in a kid's bathroom, we've done them in plastic here. And then this 3-tier rolling cart, it's from the Container Store. You've seen it in offices, you've seen it in craft rooms, but I don't know if you've seen it in the bathroom. So regardless of how you're using it, in this case, because it's a baby's bath, we're using it for diaper storage. It's super convenient and it gives a big punch for what you're doing here. All right, ladies, so now we've moved into the master bathroom where mom and dad are. And in this case, you'll notice that down here under the sink, we've made a major transformation from what it was before. We're still using these same Manhattan modular bins that are from the Container Store, right? One of the things I love about them, though, is that they get real deep compared to other storage items here, so they allow you to go the full length of under the sink. So we've got his in this space. We've got a hers section over here, and you'll notice that there are a couple of bins of different heights that make things so much easier and functional. So we still have things on the counter, right? This home does not have any drawers in their bathroom space, but at the end of the day, as long as you have it organized to what you're using on a daily basis, that's totally okay. So we pulled it all out, we sorted everything, we categorized, and we put it back in place. And again, just like we talked about before, I've got my matching jars from the Polished Jar that really help add a little oomph. Okay, but for this last thing, guys, and let me tell you, it's the piece de la resistance. I'm gonna step into the shower so you guys can see this. This is one of the coolest organizing products I have ever seen. Typically you see those side shower caddies here, but this allows you to go all the way, get the full length of your shower. They've got hooks on here where you can hang things from, a mesh bag so things can still dry properly, and this amazing storage shelf, which really helps to maximize the space overall.
Those were some good ideas for the shower, right? Okay, thank you, Ashley. To check out these products, head to today.com/shop.
Be sure to stick with us tomorrow here on Today, because we are going to tell you everything you need to know about choosing the right sunscreen.
Plus, Sophia Bush will be with us to talk about her new horror movie.
We'll see you bright and early Thursday morning right here on Today.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Find your favorite recipes, celebrity interviews, uplifting stories, shop our favorite deals, and so much more with the Today app. Download it now.